Well, yeah, certainly. I mean, it was our fault. We made a mistake. Spotter said it was clear. It wasn't clear, and, you know, I didn't want to tear my car up, tear his car up either. I respect everybody, and I demand respect. And, you know, I apologized to the guy when he came over the car, explained to him what happened, and then he took it to another level when he started calling me an idiot and whatever else. And I don't appreciate that. I'm not going to take it. I told him how I felt. I called him out. He didn't show. You know, and so, you know, I'm good with it if he's good with it, but I'm not going to be disrespected by no means.
Yeah, I guess I had a dinner date at Applebee's last night that I didn't find out about until it was too late. It's a shame. Love their riblets and boneless wings, but...
All right, folks, welcome back to Meet Me at Applebee's, your number one unrefined motorsports podcast. It's Brien, Rob, and Ashley here again. We have Kansas to talk about, and both Rob and Ashley had weekends at different tracks this weekend, so we'll get plenty of stories about that. So, folks, how are we doing this week?
I'm watching High Limit, Brian. How are you doing, Truelove?
I'm also watching High Limit about 30 seconds ahead of Rob, so we're just making background reaction noises.
Yeah.
Let's see what happened here.
So, maybe we'll get through this episode, maybe not.
Well, I mean, this race is going to be about 20 minutes, so, well, depending on how many crashes.
You're listening to a live watch-along with Meet Me at Applebee's here. They were kind enough to put FS1 on the television, of course, High Limit on big cable tonight, which is always very cool. I think this is the second of 6 events, third of 6 events? I can't remember, Bob.
I thought that car said Muzzy.
Moxie. And that's Danny Sams the third right there. He yard sailed it earlier, and they bent that thing back together only for him to fucking fall out on lap 1. So that's a rough night for the Florida man. Mm-hmm. Meet Me at Applebee's. A podcast where we talk about racing that happened last week.
Well, speaking of racing that happened last week, as mentioned, ARCA was this weekend. ARCA. Kansas was at ARCA. Whatever.
Kansas at the ARCA Speedway. You know, I think it's appropriate that we have something to watch right now while you talk about ARCA, Brian, because I didn't watch a second of that, so that's all on you.
I only watched the highlights.
Yeah, I kind of watched some of it. I missed the couple of the more controversial moments. I don't know, fucking ARCA. Who the hell cares, really? You know, obviously Cletus and Squirrel McDickhead were in the race, so you got to talk about them. Cletus was actually doing fairly well. I think he was running the top 5 most of the day, and while I wasn't watching closely, I remember hearing on the TV that, like, he made a pretty good pass at one point on one of the restarts. I want to say he, like, went middle in a 3-wide pass or something. I don't fucking know, but he ended up blowing the motor up, and then fairly good save. Like, you know, the motor blew up pretty catastrophically, but he kept the car together and, of course, gave his standard Ricky Bobby bullshit quotes on the radio afterwards, because that's what he does. That's his fucking gimmick. I don't know where Squirrel McDickhead finished. I think he was top 12, 15, I want to say. 12th, there you go.
12th again.
Yeah. He got approved to run Talladega this weekend, so good for him. The other thing to really talk about, so I guess Jack Wood, who I don't really know much about, but I think this was one of his first ARCA races, and he was poised to win, but with a handful of laps to go, Gio Scelzi was really not anywhere. Nope. Gio Scelzi. Fucking High Limit's fucking me up. Gio Ruggiero was nowhere near passing for the lead. So what he decided to do was try to spin the lapped car of Destiny Spurlock, excuse me. And she did a wonderful job. She kept the car, she spun down the banking and managed to keep the car going and straight, and she ended up with a top 10 finish, which also there were 3 women in the top 10, which is very cool.
Yeah, Jade had a good run, and Laney had a good race too, from what I hear.
Yep. But yeah, even though she didn't wreck, it did cause a caution, and this allowed Ruggiero to gain the lead on the restart and win the race. And he more or less admitted that he tried wrecking Destiny to cause that caution, which apparently he did that at Daytona too, or wrecked somebody else at Daytona to get that victory. So fuck him, basically. Definitely not a cool move to do something like that and somehow get away with it. So,
not a fan.
I like Gio, but he does pull shit like that from time to time, and that's gonna expire as you move in your career. You're not gonna be able to get away with that forever.
No.
Also, Jack Wood, you may remember him from his Truck Series career at GMS and KBM, and I think he drove for NATALIE as well, and that money ran out, I guess, and now he's back in ARCA.
Yep. Also back in ARCA. Yeah,
Daniel
also
Dye.
back in ARCA is Daniel Dye. He ended up getting
Where
second.
legends go to die.
And we'll unfortunately have to talk about Daniel Dye in the notes, but we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, that was ARCA. It's ARCA. Who cares? Moving on to the Busch race.
Yeah, Carson, nice job.
So this race got off to a real hot start. Lap 2, there was a spin in turn 2. I want to say it was Dean Thompson, but I'm not 100% sure.
Balicki.
Oh, Josh Balicki. Okay, the reply guy himself. So he spun.
DM man.
he spun, but they didn't throw a caution immediately, and then seconds later you just see Carson Kvapil's car flipping down the backstretch. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, how did that even happen?
So what happened was I think he was three. It was 2 or 3 wide with Byron and Allgaier, and yeah, Byron just barely tagged him coming out of 2, and he got loose. Benny, shut up.
He's trying to tell you that it was Byron's fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically it was Byron's fault, but it was just a racing deal. He didn't do it on purpose, obviously. But he ended up getting loose out of 2 and then turning into the outside wall. And just as he bounced off the wall and all the air was off the back end of the car, Parker Retzloff just tagged his back corner and caused him to kind of flip. And you know, obviously he was fine. Yeah, it was just bizarre because, like, yeah, the camera cut, like, you know, you see one car spinning in 2, and then all of a sudden the camera cuts immediately to Carson just flipping. Like, what the fuck?
Fucking Talladega Nights on the backstretch. Yeah.
And obviously, you know, these types of wrecks don't happen on mile and a halfs very often, if at all. But it was just like the perfect combination of, like, right place, right time for those cars to come together and lift him off the ground. And it wasn't like he flipped like 30 times. Like, he only flipped a handful of times, but, you know. But like I said, he was fine. Just a weird incident to start the race off with.
Flipping happened on the TV right now.
Yeah, well,
Dason Pursley, Tanner Holmes. Tanner Holmes is pissed. Look at that wheel flying out of there.
Back to the Busch race.
He's hung on the fence. Sorry, Brian. Keep going.
It was a good race. I mean, lots of action, passing, all that stuff. Jesse Love and Austin Hill had a, I guess, controversial moment. You know, it was only like lap 30 or something like that, and they were racing pretty hard for, I want to say, a spot, fifth place, let's say. It was in the top 10 somewhere. And coming into 3, they were battling, and Love was on the outside, Austin was on the inside. This one's kind of hard to gauge because, you know, the announcers were kind of saying, well, Jesse Love kind of pushed him down the track a little bit and took the air off of his right rear. But then also, if you look at the replay, Austin was very much on, like, almost on the apron. So I don't know if he necessarily got loose because of Jesse, or he got loose and because Jesse was there, it just took more air off of his rear end. But he ended up spinning and crashing, and that ended his day. Austin obviously was not happy about that, but Austin has been known to race his own teammates like a dickhead, so maybe he shouldn't have been as dumbfounded as he was. because that's how he races everyone. So it kind of is what it is.
He seems to get dumbfounded a lot when shit like that happens.
Yeah, it's never it's always somebody else's fault when this happens for him, but it's never his fault when he does it to other people. So
yeah, I mean, Love crowded him, but he never touched him. And
no,
Austin would have been fine if Sawalich hadn't had ARCA brakes and ran into him.
That's also true. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, yeah, Austin would have just spun, but yeah, William Sawalich tagged him and ruined both their days. Although Sawalich's car wasn't killed, but Austin's was. Rest of the race was fine. I'm trying to remember how it got set up to where Taylor Gray ended up winning. I feel like something else happened. Like, I remember watching this race pretty intensely, but this is 3 days later, and I smoke a lot of weed, so a lot of those memories are out of my brain at this point.
Shit happens. Yeah. It's departed. Yeah.
Brandon Jones won stage 1 and stage 2.
That's right, yep.
And then there was a caution with like 90 to go with Sammy Smith and Corey Day spinning.
Yes, Corey Day briefly brought his terrorist side out again, but it was against Sammy Smith, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally acceptable. Yeah.
Yep. Bummed for Brandon Jones because he had a really good day, and just I think once he lost the lead, just couldn't get back up there. But
yeah, they had green flag pit stops, and he had an uncontrolled tire, so that screwed him.
That's also correct. Yes, I remember now. But yeah, Taylor Gray ended up getting his second career victory, his first of the year. Good for him. Like I don't have strong feelings either way for Taylor Gray, so not mad about it, but I'm not excited about it either. But
I do, because he's the only New Mexican out there.
Oh, that's right.
NASCAR.
Yeah.
So yeah, Artesia's finest, Taylor Gray, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll lean more towards liking him then. So,
and
but it was a fine race.
Sheldon Creed in second won the Dash for Cash 100K, so maybe he did pay you back.
Yeah. He did very well too, so that was good to see.
God damn, he's just stuck on the wall. Well, just to give you guys some... Dason Persley's car is literally perfectly perched right where the... not the door, but where you would climb into the car. Just on its side with the wheels and the wing holding it on the fence, and they had to slowly roll him off. He's fine, everybody. Don't worry about it. But
yeah, this
is exactly what FS1 and the High Limit folks wanted to see when they put a 410 race on TV, was a lengthy red flag. It's perfect.
Let's see. So moving on to Sunday. So Truelove, you'll have to handle this one because I did not see
well. Yeah, the grid walk is my favorite part of any race. Mm-hmm. And as we discussed last week, I discovered that Mikey preps for these. And I noticed in the pre-race when they do the pit road booth with Jamie and Clint and Harvick and whoever on pit road, that you could actually see Mikey this week pacing in the background, getting ready for this grid walk, where he proceeded to try to talk to someone in an Eagle mascot costume for a long time who couldn't speak back to him. Stole their scarf and wore it over to talk to Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece told him he looked like Magic Mike. And
Mikey was probably very happy about that.
You don't say.
Then ended with Byron, where he proceeded to sing Stephen Wilson Jr. songs to Byron for a very awkwardly long amount of time. It was so uncomfortable. Byron did not know what to do. He's like, oh yeah, I like that song. And then Mikey would just keep singing it and keep singing it and keep singing it and keep singing it until finally they cut. So,
and that is how you kill TV time, folks. Perfect.
That was a good walk.
Yeah, I mean, they could have kept that going for a while because this race was not
2 more hours. Stephen Wilson Jr.
I mean, the race was fine. Don't get me wrong,
it was all right,
but for a Kansas race, it wasn't very exciting.
Kansas earned its reputation as being one of the action tracks, and then almost as soon as that was bestowed upon it, teams started figuring out how to run this place, and it wasn't quite as chaotic. And now it's kind of like a normal, like a Gen 6 race at an intermediate, kind of.
Yeah, it's
strategy heavy. It was fine though. I didn't have a problem with it.
Something's happened with the intermediate tracks this season where the racing has kind of not been as exciting as it has been the last couple of years. I mean, there was passing and stuff, but the cars were kind of strung out, and I forget who won which stage, but I know like Larson won one of them, maybe the first one, and then Denny I think won the second one.
It was reverse.
Yeah.
Okay, well, exactly. You know, they won the first two stages.
They were the two cars to beat for a while though.
Yeah, for sure. Alex Bowman had a decent enough day. He was running up in the top 15. All three RFK cars were in the top 15. All four 2311 cars were in the top 15.
Yeah, another big run from Corey Heim.
Yep. Ryan Blaney was dog shit, although he ended up spinning AJ Allmendinger, who was coming into his pit stall. Logano was shit. Byron was awful too. I don't know what was happening to him.
All that Steven Wilson Jr. made his stomach sick.
Something happened with Christopher Bell. I forget exactly what. No, he was like that was the end. The restart.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically towards the end there was a very good battle between Denny and Tyler Reddick. They had about the same, tires as far as when they pitted and all that.
Denny he'd come into the pits a little bit earlier.
Yeah, he needed to get the track position, but he's also, he's the one of the handful of veterans on the circuit at this point, and he knows how to manage his tires. And Reddick, had the lead. They were battling very hard, and he ended up his tires were going away, and also at one point in turn 3, something happened with his fuel to where he had to switch to the second tank, and he ended up getting in the wall while that was happening. So Denny got the lead. And it was very, Denny had it. It was going to be his victory with a couple to go. And then Cody Ware decided to spin out because, for whatever fucking reason, Rick Ware Racing, even though he was already literally dead fucking last.
5 laps down.
Yeah, kept him out on 60-something lap tires. He'd gotten in the wall a couple times prior to spinning out. Literally coming to the white flag, spun out in front of the leaders, and it caused a caution. This led to everybody. There were only the top 15, 16, whatever drivers were on the lead lap. Every single driver came in. The majority of the leaders took 2. A couple of the guys in the back took 4. And this led to a pretty wild restart that you had, Larson, Hamlin, Reddick. I think Chase was up there too, right? Chase Elliott.
Yeah, Larson took it down to the apron,
Briscoe.
got the lead. That was fucking awesome.
Yeah, Larson got the lead. Something happened, Christopher Bell kind of got tagged a little bit and got into the wall, and then almost took Denny out, but Denny was able to get away from it. Bell ended up spinning later on, but that didn't cause a caution. But Reddick fucking just came out of nowhere and just dove down and got around everybody and
found a couple extra gears.
Yeah,
Turned on his NASCAR turbo boosters.
Yeah, the NOS.
And got his 5th victory of the season. Bummer for Denny. This is not the first time. Apparently, I was listening to his podcast. This is the 3rd race at Kansas and the 6th race overall that he has lost due to overtime in the last 3 years. So
good, great.
Oh, fuck off. But
fuck Denny Hamlin. I don't care. It was great.
No, I'm a Denny fan.
I was bummed.
So.
Yeah, I was bummed for Denny. But I like Reddick too. So.
Yeah, I just I want to see Denny get a few more. Obviously I want to see him win the title, but he's only got, as he said, he's only got 60 races left, so he's trying to get as many as he can. But it is what it is. He had Michael Jordan came, and I guess there was a lot of shit talking before the race between Denny and Michael, because Denny obviously called his shot and said he was going to win, and almost did until the restart. And Michael came over and kind of playfully choked him afterwards. And Denny was having no part of that whatsoever.
Clint Boyer, was it Clint or Kevin? It was somebody in the booth really enjoyed the shit out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it turned into a great meme format. So
Yes.
Yeah. And then you had Tyler Reddick chomping on some steaks. I don't know why there were steaks randomly in
Yeah, what's
Victory
with
Lane.
the Victory Lane meat this year? We've had a lot of that.
it's Kansas City. They like their barbecue there. I think
Yeah, but
he
there
was
wasn't a
eating
meat
ribs.
spot.
They were like flying off the bone, and he was like flopping them around. And there's meat flopping around, and then him and his crew were all eating off the same meat stick bone thing.
They also did a Stone Cold tribute,
Yeah, the
beer bash.
Smash.
And Tyler was chugging 2 Rock Stars, which is his new
Yep.
energy drink sponsor, which is gross.
You had to wear goggles because that shit'll burn your eyes.
Yep, that's a fact. They'll seal shut from all the sugar.
My favorite part of the whole race was the moment where Mike Joy exclaimed, "And for the lead!" But it was just Allmendinger a lap down, getting his lap back from Larson
Yeah,
with fresh tires.
I was at my mother-in-law's house. It was her birthday, so we were over there celebrating, and of course I commandeered the television like any good fat drunk son-in-law would to watch NASCAR. In that moment, we were talking, hanging out, and that happened, and I shot up. And I was like, whoa! And it was like, oh, it's just AJ. But Mike caught himself, so that was good. Yeah, I don't think that was as bad as people make it out to be, but also now that we've added Chicagoland back into the mix, and the intermediates are supposed to be the savior of this package or whatever. Not great for that line of thinking, I guess. But I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I hate races that come down to overtime,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
It got me thinking to like how they could change that policy, and like first I thought like why don't they just make it to where if there's a caution, with between 1 and 3 to go, it's over. But it's like, well, what if it's a caution for nothing and it takes 2 seconds? It would make it too confusing to kind of make some sort of rule like that. So, I don't know. It kind of is what it is.
Well, we're going
but,
old school, so we always could in races under yellow. That's kind of the only way you could do it.
Yeah, it's either got to be. You could limit the amount of green, white checkers, but that would only really matter at like a place like Talladega or a short track maybe. But
let's be honest, I don't know for sure if Denny Hamlin had that wrapped up. Tyler was
he did.
catching back up.
Reddick was he was done. Like Denny had a big enough lead, especially when they're coming to the white. Like he would have had to make up like 20 car lengths in one lap. It wouldn't have happened.
No, it wasn't that much, but I don't know. I thought it was a good finish regardless. I don't think there was much to complain about. That was a great battle coming up to it, and Denny bested him. And but just the fact that gets like a 40% Jeff Gluck pull, which means nothing. But
it was 51-49.
I'll be honest, I voted no in that just because I thought it was a great race until the silly overtime chaos.
Yeah,
ruined it for me.
That's fair. I mean, because the finish was great without the green.
Yeah, the natural finish was
awesome.
exciting enough.
Yeah. But so that leads us to our fantasy league standings, which take it away, Truelove. I had a good week, so go ahead.
You did.
Everybody had a good week, it seems like.
Fantasy league this week, our podium, Dick Trickle was the big winner. Brien, like he said, had a great week. He came in second. And then Little Michael rounding up third. 15th for me because I think Bell dropping so far back at the end really screwed me points-wise. And then Robin 17th, though you were leading at one point during the race.
I was.
Earlier in the race,
but
I think.
This is the problem with NASCAR fantasy for me is, and I said this before, but I always fuck the bonus picks up.
Yeah.
And I had a great lineup. I had Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, and Chase with Bubba Wallace in the garage. It was kind of a toss-up between Bell and Wallace, and of course Wallace ended up being the guy. But I looked at what it would have been had I have switched it, and I only would have gained one position. So
I took Briscoe out because Hocevar was faster, but Briscoe, he was better with pit stops and stuff. And then Briscoe or Hocevar kind of faded. If I had kept, Briscoe in, I would have won. But I mean, it was only 10 points, so whatever. And I hit all the bonuses, so I got lucky there.
Overall standings, Chris Davis still the leader, Flavortown McLeod second, but Brien has moved up 2 spots to third. So
it's all gonna fall to shit this weekend, though. It's Talladega. Who the hell knows what's gonna happen?
Me and Rob are the same as we were last week, 8th and 16th.
Kind of stalling out. Very, very tight standings this week. Again, everyone pretty much picked the same lineups.
Yeah, the top 5 really tightened up a lot.
Yeah, it's the bonus picks really are where you win these
make
things.
Make or break. Yeah. So yeah, good luck with Talladega, y'all.
This is where I shine, baby. I'm coming back. With my Ricky Stenhouse, Austin Cindric lineup. You better watch.
Daniel Dye.
Throw Daniel Dye in there. Who the fuck else we got? Maybe Mike Wallace will be out there. I don't know. Somebody.
Who knows?
Moving on to general news and notes. So Kyle Busch, he was a big talking point last week. Again, having the worst season of his career.
Good. Great.
pretty much was talked about by everybody on everybody's podcast, and he ended up. Denny had some comments about him on his show, although they were fairly tame and respectful enough. But I mean, he just, he's like, I don't know what's going on with him. Something's going on. Like, he also kind of insinuated that like things were kind of on the decline before he left Gibbs. But everybody had something to say about Kyle this last week, and he ended up firing back at Denny this weekend before the race and said, I can make his life living hell or whatever. And then he ended up getting passed by Denny as he was 5 laps down, and nothing happened.
He did hold him up a little bit.
He did right there at the end.
Yeah.
And also Austin Dillon did too, so it was a RCR tag team.
Yeah. But anyways, I say all this because today Kyle Busch's interview with Sean Hannity dropped, and I watched it so you don't have to. Really, there's nothing. There's no reason for a loyal NASCAR watcher to watch this. There's really nothing that he says in this that is interesting or you won't know. I would say maybe the one thing he talked about, because Hannity brought up rivalries and drivers he didn't like, and crashing other drivers, and he did touch on the Hornaday incident, and he didn't outright apologize or anything about it, but he did regret. He's like, yeah, if I could take one back, it'd be that one. Not necessarily even that. He's like, Hornaday deserved it, but I think the way that it happened.
This is why I hate Kyle Busch to this day. Fuck him. I'm glad he's having a terrible year. And I watched a little bit of that. I did enjoy him talking about the drivers he hates. Logano and Keselowski. Long time hatred between all of them. I would have thought the Keselowski thing would have faded by now.
Right.
Yeah.
And he really doesn't like Carson Hocevar either, which is hilarious.
He doesn't.
Yeah. His Spire truck teammate.
Recently.
Yeah. There were a couple brief moments where Hannity kind of got political, mainly like, shit-talking MSNBC and bringing up Elon Musk. And Kyle, to his credit, pretty much brushed all that shit off and didn't say anything in either direction, so I'll give him credit there. But then, he brought up the Denny thing and how, he says, Denny says I'm washed. And, like, Denny never said that. Like,
yeah, you said you were washed just now.
Yeah. So, yeah, he basically made up some bullshit about Denny, basically. And nobody needs to watch this. It's dog shit. Don't waste your time.
I didn't even know that he was still around on television. I mean, Hannity, like...
He's not. He has, like, a YouTube show and stuff.
Oh, well, there you go. That explains my surprise, I guess. But,
yeah.
I mean, he's a television guy. He can interview. From what I heard, it seemed like something you'd watch on a plane. Like what's that guy who does all the sports interviews and like he'll interview just like figures and the only place
I know
I've ever
Graham Norton, I think, something like that.
Yeah, something like not Graham
Which
Norton.
I've seen some interviews with racers and stuff like Jimmy Johnson and a couple others.
Tony
They're
Stewart
fine.
had one. Yeah, it's good, but I've
Yeah.
only ever seen those on American Airlines flights.
I see him in the gym sometimes, so
Perfect. Yeah, or maybe a gas pump or something like that. You'll see it.
yeah. All right, so this next one kind of pains me a little bit. So, you guys listened to the BJ interview, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
it was great.
So
yeah.
one thing that I gleaned from that interview that I wasn't necessarily, I mean, I kind of figured he was a decent businessman, but one thing you're going to learn from the BJ interview on Dale Jr. Download is he's a very savvy businessman. Like even his racing career and everything, like it all started because he was such a good businessman. And I say this because this week, Daniel Dye was signed for a handful of races with Live Fast Motorsports. You know, BJ, listen, he's going to take a check if it comes in. I mean, he was sponsored by fucking Power Slap and Rumbles last couple years. So, like, if a check's going to come to him, he's going to take it, which, you know, I can respect that in a sense, and that's why Daniel Dye's in the car, I'm sure. But disappointing. I mean, you know, regardless of this silly bullshit Dye did a few weeks ago, he's not a very good driver, and he still has a lot of growing up to do. I don't think his career should have been ruined by a joke that, you know, 20 years ago nobody would have batted an eye about. But, you know, it just really was more of a display of how immature he still is.
Yeah, I honestly don't think it's that bad of a pickup. I mean, he's pretty good in plate races. He's never driven a Gen 7 car, so that's going to be the big learning curve, I think. But
Yeah.
those don't seem to be all that difficult to drive at a plate track, so maybe he'll be fine. I mean, it's certainly better than, no disrespect to Catherine Legg, but at least, you know, he has way more NASCAR oval experience going into this.
Yeah, that's
So,
fair.
It's not the worst pick ever. It is kind of funny that he got fired and popped up in the Cup Series.
I mean, I'd much rather
the
see
Dollar
BJ
General
in the,
version of Kyle Larson, but yeah, I would have
Yeah.
definitely preferred BJ as well in that ride.
Yeah.
but
Where does Daniel's family's money come from? Do we know?
his dad owns Dodge dealerships, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not enough to save the Ram contract, but
No.
well, that 44 has gotten in 2 fucking wrecks tonight.
Yeah, that one car really ARCA braked in there very late.
Yeah, Aaron Reitzel spun, and then 3 business days later, whoever the fuck that guy is just slid on in from 24th place. So, little preview of Talladega on Sunday when Daniel Dye debuts in the Cup Series.
And speaking of Talladega, so yeah, Talladega is this weekend. Trucks aren't racing there, are they? I know ARCA obviously
No,
is, but
just-
no. Just
ARCA O'Reilly Cup.
you're going to be there,
It's
aren't you?
great. I will be there. Me and my brother are camping with my friend Clayton and some of his buddies. We're gonna head down Friday morning, and we'll probably pack up and leave after the race on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. The weather does not look great for Saturday, so
You might get a little
see
bonus
how that goes, too.
action on Sunday.
yeah. There's a lot of great paint schemes this weekend. Gregson announced his PBR pickle beer Grillo's car, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Eric
want
Jones got some Doritos.
that. I'm psyched on. If there's a Doritos NASCAR shirt, I will be buying that for sure.
I'll tell you, I'm intrigued by the pickle PBR.
Nope, not me.
You can try it and let us know.
Yeah,
PBR sucks, and
Grillo's pickles they're kind of on the tangier end of the spectrum, a little more vinegary. I like a
I
good
do like their
sour beer.
pickles.
And I don't mind PBR so much. In fact, I drank a 6-pack of it on Sunday. I originally bought that for Thompson because they sell those there, and it's better than sneaking in Bud Light. I ended up not drinking them at the racetrack, so I just had 6 PBRs laying around. So that was Sunday's work, and it's neat to see that pop up after I finished them, because like, yeah, this isn't as bad as I remember it being before getting a headache. So
oh, dude, yeah, that's PBR is just hangover fuel, man. That shit is so gross.
100%. But But hey, pickles do keep you hydrated, so maybe there's something to it.
There's not going to be any real pickles in there. Come on.
Yeah, in my early 20s, PBR was all that I drank, and then it was like one day I woke up, and one PBR will give me the worst hangover of my life. So,
Yeah. Ugh. Yeah, anything else to say about Talladega? No, it's Talladega.
I don't
We
think
all know
so.
it's gonna
Yeah,
be.
it's Talladega. Maybe I'll survive. We'll see.
Are you going to the World of Outlaws?
I don't think so, because again, it's supposed to rain a ton
right.
Saturday, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably not in the cards.
Damn, what a shame.
I might, well, depending on what the group wants to do, we might venture over to North Park, which I've never been to,
Oh, okay.
which is the free campgrounds.
Well, where the freaks come out at night.
So, or we might just go to the Boulevard. We'll see. I'm sure I'll have plenty of stories next week.
Plenty to do. None of it is a bad decision. That's for sure. And speaking of the Boulevard and going to Talladega, our DARF of the week comes from the NASCAR camping and tailgating group on Facebook. This is a never-ending deep well of material for us. It's not the first time we've pulled a DARF of the week from there, and it will not be the last. This week's DARF is Tommy Wilson, and boy, he's pissed. And I'm not really sure what he's pissed about, but he told us all about it on Facebook, saying, and I'm going to do my best to read this as it was typed, "To hell with NASCAR racing, was the only sports I watched. Now you have sold out the fans, and that backed you since the began. Now you sold us out. F you, NASCAR. I want to watch any more sports." So,
He's not a Reddick fan.
I don't know. I don't know what he wants, to be honest with you. Yeah, I don't think I need to give this guy a punishment because he's probably going through enough of it on his own. But Tommy, best wishes, and we'll see you at Talladega next weekend.
To see if I could track down Tommy.
Yeah, you'll find one, I'm sure. It might not be this one, but you'll find
This one.
you'll find a similar one.
As we dive into the septic tank, we're about to see Corey Day win that whatever fuck track this is. I already forgot which track it was.
Eagle
but
Raceway,
Eagle.
baby. Yeah, Corey Day showing everybody why he is getting the opportunity he's getting. He sliced and diced his way up front and just picked up a win on Fox Sports 1 and Flow Racing. So what a great way to walk into the septic tank today. The door was already cracked open, and we've really been in it the entire time because this race has been on for the entire fucking show, which tells you how many cautions there were. But congrats, Corey Day. That was a nice win. Of course, Brad Sweet coming in second, and my dog, Tanner Thorson, in third. And Carson Macedo coming in fourth here. The leader of the Outlaw crew, the only World of Outlaw driver to come over here and play with the high limit guys tonight. But anyway, short track septic tank, it's pretty full tonight. Both Truelove and I were out at different short tracks, about as far away as you can get from each other.
Yep. Just rolling around in it.
Yep. Of course, I spent my weekend up at Claremont Speedway in New Hampshire, a cool little short track. It's been in operation since 1949. But this time I wasn't DARFing. I was actually on the payroll working for Pit Road TV to help present their broadcast. I went up there on Friday night. It sucked because they had to send me some SD cards. And I meant to leave my house pretty early to get up there and finish setting up and make sure everything was ready to rip and all that. But I have been having them ship me stuff to my work, to my office, because it's safer, because we have porch pirates around here, and I don't want expensive stuff getting stolen. And
The street cats.
the street cats probably have all sorts of cool stuff from Amazon. We've been pretty lucky with that, but I've heard some stories and seen stuff happen, so I'm not going to have expensive gear get taken off my porch when I absolutely need it. So anyway, they had to overnight these things to me, and guess where they shipped them to? My office, because that's where I told them to send them to. So I had to go to work on Friday, even though I hadn't planned on it. So I sat around, and again, I played a Civil War strategy game for a few hours and got paid. And they showed up at 4 o'clock, which was 4 hours after I wanted to leave. So
Wow.
Anyway, I haul ass up to New Hampshire. Beautiful drive. Got there, got everything set up. Everything was pretty much in order, so I felt good about it. In time to hopefully go sit down in a bar, open my phone up, watch whatever was on Flow or Dirt Vision, and have a beer. But unfortunately, Claremont, it is 1997 up there, and bars close at 10.
Oh, Jesus.
So I had one drink as the nice bartender was sweeping up. And I went to Domino's because that was the only restaurant that was open in town. So I took my Domino's back to my little Roach Motel and sat there, and I watched Jimmy Swaggart on television for the next 2 hours and proceeded to get drunk.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Felt like I was on tour. A very nice little hotel. I can't recommend the Claremont Motor Lodge enough. It's pretty affordable, and for what it is, being a small town motel, like you'd see on Schitt's Creek or a Stephen King movie, it was incredibly nice, and I'll definitely stay there again. It's going to happen at some point, and I'm not dreading it. I've stayed at far worse nice hotels. In fact, I would say this was cleaner and in better shape than the Hard Rock was in Tulsa at the Chili Bowl, so that's saying something. And this room was about a mortgage worth cheaper, so... I did finally find some racing on television as I was winding down for bed. IndyCar practice was on FS2, and I dozed off to that. Alarm goes off at 6 in the morning because I got to get to Home Depot and get some more shit. Needed some different HDMI cables, whatever the fuck, and the same broadcast was still on television. So that was a mindfuck to wake up to. This whole time, so not to get too into it, but the broadcast team at this place, it's a small crew. It's a small broadcast. There's not a big budget for it. So it's me, who is the broadcast producer and essentially the director, and then a camera guy who I have never met before and still haven't met, which you'll find out about in a second. Camera guy texts me about 10 o'clock, or it was earlier than that. He texts me in the morning and says, I'll be there at the track around 10:45. I'm like, perfect. That's great. First time I've heard from this guy since the plan came together, and I was like, okay, good. At least I got somebody coming here. This is good. And then get to the racetrack, get everything set up, test the broadcast. We're good to go. Everything's good. I'm feeling good. 11:30 rolls around. No sign of this guy. I'm like, oh fuck. Maybe he's stuck in traffic, but nobody lives up there, so that's not true. So I keep texting. It's like, hey, bud, you lost? You okay? What's going on, 12 o'clock rolls around. No sign. And now I'm internally starting to melt down a little bit. And it's like, I've never done this before. This is my first time manning a broadcast, albeit a small one. It's not like I'm going live on Fox Sports 1 or something like that. It's a very niche audience here. But still, I don't want to fuck this up, especially it's the first time that this broadcast team has ever done an event for this particular speedway. You want the first one to go good, right?
Right.
12:30. No, this guy's not coming, it seems like. I haven't heard from him. And I realize I better learn how to use this camera right now. And so I go out there and I film practice for a little bit because they're still running hot laps and all that. Figure out how to do it. And I got to say, mad props to, and I think I said this previously because I worked the camera a little bit at the test and tune I went to, but mad props to all the real shooters out there. It is incredibly difficult to film race cars and make it look good, especially to have it zoomed in tight, as you kind of need to do sometimes. It is an art, and the guys who are really good at it, I don't think they get enough credit for having the skill set that they do. So shout out to guys like Andy, Truelove's boyfriend, and I don't know if he ever shoots in this capacity or not, but I know, on broadcasts.
Not race cars so much, but
yeah, it's very difficult. And I was like, well, hopefully this guy shows up so I don't have to ruin this broadcast by having me on camera. 1:25 rolls around. We find out the broadcast is starting early because they're doing some memorial for a driver who had passed away. Not on the track by any means, but just he was an old timer there, and they were going to do one last lap with his car and all that. And I was like, well, I guess I'm filming the show. So I go in there and I get it set up and I send the feed out and load the graphics up, and we wait for 20 minutes for this shit to happen. And I'm like, fuck. Nothing is happening. The guys in the booth, by the way, they are fucking awesome. Really, really professional crew. They've both been doing it for a long time, and they were so entertaining to listen to when I was in there. But I proceeded to spend the rest of the day running back and forth from the control room all the way across the scoring stand out to the camera stand to film races, and then back and forth and back and forth. And I won't say it was stressful. It kind of wasn't. It kind of was what it was. Everything was working and it was going out, and I was capturing everything all right, but definitely an intimidating experience. And as soon as the 76 lap outlaw feature ended, I was fucking exhausted and ready to drink a beer. Did get to work with Pete Falcone, which I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's a legendary commentator up here and race caller. My first time I ever went to Thompson, he was on the mic. I remember hearing his voice thunder through the PA, so that was pretty special to get to collaborate with him in some fashion. It's not something I ever thought I'd get to do, but definitely caused me to take pause as this was all happening and really take it in, like, holy fuck, you know, this is truly the other side of the fence here. And I went home and checked it out, and again, the broadcast guys, or the booth guys, are total pros. You would never have known that I couldn't hear them and had no idea what they were talking about. They played right along with what I was filming, and I did a fine enough job, I guess, to capture what was going on, because it actually sounded entertaining and it looked entertaining, and I think it went pretty well, all things considered. But as we're about to wrap, I think there's 10 laps left in the Outlaw feature, and I feel my phone buzz. And just to preface this, as I'm waiting for the camera guy to show up, I think to myself, I hope this fucker better be in the hospital if he's not going to show up. He better be in the hospital. Something should have happened.
Yeah.
And
Somebody needs to be dead or on
something
death's
bad
door.
needed to have happened, and then I will...
Choking on a chicken bone.
As it turns out, my boss sends me a screenshot from this guy saying that, yeah, my truck blew up on the way there and I had to go to the hospital and get burn treatment. I'm really sorry. My girlfriend was supposed to call you. Did she not? And then I immediately thought, oh, well, now I feel like an asshole. I guess he's doing all right, though, so maybe we'll see him next week. I don't know, but... Yeah, it was a great...
I want to see a video of the truck blowing up. I want to see a hospital bill.
What is it, doctor's note? Yeah.
Bandages. Yeah.
You better
crispy skin.
Show up looking like a mummy from a fucking 30s movie next weekend. No, I'm glad he's okay, and that definitely eased my my frustration a little bit. But yeah, it was great fun. I'm looking forward to doing it for the rest of the year, and it's a tough job. I'm honestly a little bit glad it went that way, so I could truly understand how this whole thing comes together. It really gave me a lot of ideas on how to improve it when I'm actually just in the box and doing that job. But yeah, mad props to all the people who put these broadcasts together. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of fun as well. And I can't wait to actually do it when I'm not running around, but we'll see. Maybe hopefully my guy's out of the hospital by next weekend. If not, I'll be doing the same. You can catch it all on pitrow.tv next Friday night. That's of course first night race of the year. They're kicking off the weekly program, and yeah, it should be a good show. But as I alluded to, I wasn't the only one that was at the racetrack. I wasn't the only one at the racetrack around cameras, and Truelove was literally across the country from me at Senoia.
Yeah, I didn't touch any cameras. I didn't have to do any of that, but so I have spent my entire life calling it Senoia Raceway. Mm-hmm. And I got down there and heard all the locals calling it Senoia. So I don't know what the fuck it's called. I might accidentally call them both while I'm talking about it, but
I've never heard that before.
Definitely threw me for a loop. But yeah, my boyfriend Andy, for as long as we've been dating, he's always told me about his good friend Dune Buggy, who he used to work with back in the day. I think they both worked for Zach Brown at the same time, a long time ago. But Dune Buggy lives in Senoia, and
We got both there.
Yeah, he races. I think he used to race in the Bomber Series, but now he's running in the Limited. So normally Andy's tour schedule doesn't work out on the weekends for us to go to a race down there when he's running. So it finally worked out. But for a long time, Andy's been wanting to, Andy's a photographer and filmographer, and he's been wanting to just shoot dune buggy in his element and just make a little piece on it just for fun. So he definitely loaded up a bunch of his personal camera gear and took it down there. But let's see, a little background on dune buggy. I won't get into this in too much depth, but Andy showed me an episode of the TV show Cold Justice that was about dune buggy's dad, who was murdered in his race shop in Columbus, Georgia in 2004. So, yeah. But I guess that's where dune buggy gets his love for racing. His dad used to race, so he runs his dad's number now, 22. So yeah, we went down Friday first just for practice, just to kind of meet up with dune buggy at the shop that he runs his car out of and get some footage at the shop, and then practice laps. The shop that he keeps his car at is owned by Clint Smith, who I guess is kind of like the big head honcho guy around Senoia. But his race shop is like a mile from the raceway.
Nice.
So we got there, and I don't know what I was expecting. I was probably just expecting something real podunk, but there was probably 6 to 8 cars in there. I'd say maybe 4 or 5 were track ready and a couple parts cars, but it was a pretty legit operation. There's a ton of trophies that he kept. These are all Clint's trophies up in the ceiling rafters of the shop, and then all the walls were lined with checks that all had Clint's name on them.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, we just hung around the shop. They were, getting cars prepped to take over for practice. They weren't going to run all the cars at practice. Some of them they were just getting ready for the main event on Saturday. But it was a little awkward at first because you come into a race shop and it's nothing but a bunch of good old boys, and they are very cautious of outsiders. They're very protective of their space. And plus, Andy had a bunch of camera gear, so they're like, who's this guy coming in, filming all our shit? So, for sure, awkward at first.
I heard you say Clinton Smith, but I didn't realize it was that guy. He was a Have a Tampa champion, bunch of World of Outlaw wins. Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
I didn't even know all that. I guess I should have Googled him. I did see Kyle Armstrong probably, I'm sure, knows him, but...
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, dune buggy had his car for this season. He's got a brand new, super nice paint scheme on it. He's running a Bobby Allison Miller High Life Tribute, number 22. That thing is so shiny, so clean, hasn't touched the track. It looks so good. Yeah, they loaded it up, took it over for practice. Friday, me and Andy stayed outside the track. He wanted to get some outside shots. We tried to go inside at one point, but the crossover gate guy was kind of being a dick, so just kind of hung out outside. Andy got all those shots, and I watched a guy for a long time who turned a trash can on its side and sat on it like a seat and smoked cigs the entire practice. So that was my welcome to Senoia. Saturday we went back down. This was race day. Met up at the shop first. We got there a little late because Atlanta traffic sucks, but they were loading up. Nobody had this guy helping him. Everyone I noticed had nicknames. I don't remember all of them, but the guy helping Dune Buggy the most, his name was Rollo. I don't know how he got this name. I didn't inquire, but he did have a weird, like, lump on his forehead. Maybe it was shaped like a Rollo. Maybe that's where his name came from. I don't know. But yeah, we spent this whole night in the infield. They had their race trailer in there, so I got me a camping chair set up right inside the door of the trailer. And on this day, everyone was a lot more friendly, a lot more welcoming, I think, because we were kind of in their element and with Dune Buggy and had been around for a day. They started warming up to us.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed about this track is that everyone and their child has a four-wheeler. It is four-wheeler chaos. There's no rules. It is a lawless land of four-wheelers. There's tiny, tiny children on pit bikes hauling ass everywhere. Electric scooters galore. It's a lot. I did watch one guy sitting in his mule alone, kicking his legs and sucking on a lollipop for a long time, too.
Nice.
Yep. A lot of critters, a lot of dirt critters. I noticed a lot of Ashton Winger shirts. Those were the only shirts I recognized the name.
Yeah.
So, local guy.
That makes sense.
They have a kid who has his own flag stand that he sets up on the inside of turn one. He's got every flag. He stands on a little ladder, and he's there the whole race. And he was way better at that job than the actual flag man. Way more energy, way more on top of it. So I think he's got a future there.
The future flaggers of America.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, hot lap started at 5:30. There's a bunch of classes running. I honestly couldn't tell you much about any of them. They had 602, mini stock, bomber, hobby, modified, hot shot, charger, and Dune Buggy was running limited. Let's see, what else? There was also a ton of underage girls in the pits next to us. They were all drinking all night long. There's just there were really no rules here.
It's like a fucking Bruce Springsteen song down there. It's great.
There was a lady with her newborn baby. She did have hearing protection though, so that was good. But they also brought their dog, who was absolutely miserable. I noticed a lot of miserable dogs in the infield. Stop bringing your fucking dogs to racetracks. Another funny moment was, this was right after we got there. The water truck took its first laps around the track, just really hosing the shit out of the top of that place. And the crossover gate to get down into the track is the walk down the track right there is pretty steep. And maybe this guy just didn't know that the water truck just came by, but he was hauling ass down that hill and busted his ass immediately, and fell so hard that it blew the hat right off his head. And he was so embarrassed that he left his hat and ran away. So someone had to pick up his hat later.
He ruined his jeans too, I assume.
I also witnessed after the anthem, we're all staring at the flagpole in the middle of the track, and the anthem finishes and they're kind of starting to clear out, and I watched a guy, of course, on his four-wheeler, put it in the wrong gear and back into the flagpole super hard. That thing starts leaning, and then he still couldn't figure out how to get it to go forward, so he backed into it a couple more times.
Like Weaver Valley.
Yeah, just a lot of people watching. I mean, hot laps. They had like 41 entries for limited. So
Nice.
yeah, they had a Dune Buggy got the pole for B main, and then I think he finished second in the B main. So, but yeah, then the racing started. All the features were typically about 15 laps, but each feature had typically a caution on lap 1 that got really drug out, and then just lots of cautions after that. And then when it was finally time for Dune Buggy's race, which was the longest race of the night, I think it was like 26 laps, it went caution free and flew by and was over in the blink of an eye. So
That sounds about right.
yep. And then we had to wait until everyone else finished before we could leave, but
That ain't too bad.
it wasn't too bad. There was a tech shed guy who came up to me at one point who wanted to talk about what I was wearing, and he nicknamed me 1982 and called me that the rest of the night because he said I looked like I showed up straight from 1982.
So you didn't wear your Crocs to Senoia, I assume.
I did not wear my Crocs, yeah. He asked if he could take a picture of me, so he said he wouldn't use it for anything nefarious. And then he asked me if I knew Cornbread Cowboy.
Wouldn't you know it?
Yeah. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then after the race, as soon as Dune Buggy finished, he climbed right out, cracked a Miller High Life Tallboy, and the race is wrapped up. And then once the track clears, all the kids on their electric scooters get to go out there and just have their way with it. So
That's cool.
yeah, it was fun. You definitely don't get as dirty sitting in the infield, so that was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll definitely be back at Senoia. It was just a lot of fun and incredible people watching.
Yeah, I'd like to join you down there one of these days.
Yeah, I don't think Dune Buggy runs again till June, but they have, race there every weekend. Yeah, after that, loaded up, took the car back to the shop, and me and Andy and Dune Buggy and Clint went to Waffle House, and that was nice to kind of end the weekend with them. Clint, he's very intimidating at first. He, if there's an issue at Senoia, they say go see Clint, and if you get in trouble at Senoia, you say I know Clint, and then you're out of trouble. So he
That's nice.
yeah. But yeah, when we went to Waffle House, he really let his guard down, and we just kind of talked about, music and funny stories, and there's no race talking.
Oh, he didn't tell you his nickname was Cat Daddy?
No, he did not.
That's a shame.
While we were trying to eat our meal, though, there was a kid that came up, and he was like talking to Clint. He's like, "Oh man, I hate to bother you right now while you're eating, but I got shorted $25 in my payout, so I don't know if you're the one I need to talk to or blah blah blah." And Clint never looked at him. He never made eye contact. You could tell he was annoyed. He was like, talk to so-and-so about it. But that kid, I noticed, had his name tattooed on his forearm in giant letters, and his name is Big Sexy. So, yeah.
Brandon Overton.
I don't think that was him, but yeah.
No. Probably not.
Got home at about 2:30 that morning. So, but yeah, Andy got a ton of amazing footage. He showed me a bunch of it afterwards, and like the shots he got are so fucking good. He started piecing it together, and it's looking really cool. So once he gets that finished up and shares it online, I'll be sure to share a link to it.
Video of the week.
Maybe so.
Hell yeah, that's
Better
awesome.
than one of our videos this week.
That's a fact.
That's a pretty good video. We'll get to it.
We still got a limited second tank to wade through here before we get to that, though. I didn't get to watch a ton of stuff really going to focus on the things I did watch. It's been a theme lately. But World of Outlaws and a lot of racing had weather issues this weekend. Even Claremont wasn't immune to that. Sunday got rained out up there, so I got to go home early to half watch a cup race at my mother-in-law's house. But World of Outlaws, they got rained out in Jacksonville. And Hopstock got postponed to Sunday, which I wasn't opposed to. I like a good Sunday night sprint car race to send me off to dreamland before I go back to hell at work. But Hopstock was a hell of a show. Tyler Courtney showed up and pretty well dick stomped him. He was at the front for most of the race. Pretty decent battles for the lead, particularly from Buddy Kofoid, a big challenge at the end of the race until he decided to ramp off one of the infield tractor tires and just kind of got the front end off the ground and shot up the racetrack as Tyler was coming down and wrecked him, or wrecked himself, that is. Tyler ended up bending his left rear, but was able to continue on and win the feature. A really funny victory lane with the World of Outlaws Dirt Vision guy holding his mic in front of the Flow Racing logo on Tyler's uniform. I really appreciated that. So I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but I assume it was. And also we got a great interview from Buddy Kofoid blaming Tyler Courtney for racing him dirty and chopping him. And the whole time I was thinking to myself, does he not know that he launched himself off of a fucking tire and that's why this happened? Maybe he watched the replay. I don't know. But that was a great show. Hobstad always puts on a good one. High Limit was at a couple places. Well, actually, that's not true. They only really raced at Wheatland over this weekend because Lakeside got rained out as well. Of course, excuse me, that was a... I'm dying. Hang on one second. Truelove shot some of that Senoia dirt over here into my throat. Yeah, Lakeside got rained out. That was a companion event with the Cup race this weekend, one of the couple that they do over the course of the year, or three. I think there's a, obviously they race the dirt track in Vegas. Texas Motor Speedway's got a big one coming up, and Lakeside is not on the property like the other two places they go to in conjunction with NASCAR events, but it's close enough that you can make a weekend out of it. But unfortunately, they got rained out. But over at Wheatland, Kerry Madsen picked up a win. The Madman winning over Cy Lynch and Tanner Holmes. And then, of course, we just watched Corey Day pick up a big win. We already talked about that, though. Mm-hmm. The Gauntlet at Bulls Gap wrapped up, and Jonathan Davenport absolutely bankrupted Vic Hill, the promoter, by winning the 6-digit bonus. I think he went home with about $125,000 or something like that. Of course, to win the $100,000, you had to win a prelim night, and I think Jonathan Davenport won 2 of those, or at least one of them, and definitely dick stomped him in the feature.
On Door Bumper Clear, they were talking about how, I guess, like Kyle Strickler said, he got like $900 for finishing like second or third or something like that.
Yeah,
so.
It was heavily skewed. But yeah, Jonathan Davenport making the most of his sort of pick and choose part-timer schedule and taping a big check up on the wall next to the other big checks out at the Dirty Dollar Ranch. So good for JD. Matt Williamson picked up his first Super Dirt Series race win of the year.
I watched the whole thing. Yeah. This was one of my 2 home tracks, and Super Dirt Series opening night. I'm trying to think here. Matt DiLorenzo led the first half of the race, which they kept calling him Matty D, which was annoying, of course.
For obvious reasons.
Alex Payne was in third and ended up going over the berm in turn 2 and fucked his whole night up. Alex Yankowski came from the very dead last up to the top 10, which is good to see. And thankfully, Stuart Friesen didn't win, although he won at Fonda the next night, although that wasn't a Super Dirt race. That was just a Fonda race. But decent show to start the season. And, I'm hopefully I get to go to either there or Lebanon Valley before Super Dirt comes to Mansfield in August. But, I'll be at that for sure.
Hell yeah. Meanwhile, not back up north, that was also up north, but a little bit further to the east, the Northeast Classic took place at Loudon. Of course, that's the Pass Tour's first visit up north of the year. Also, the American Canadian Tour kicking their season off. DJ Shaw getting his first Loudon win in the Pass race. Connor Souza picking up a big American Canadian Tour win, and then Patrick Emmerling winning the MRS, or Mrs. Modified Series race. I love that event. Wish I could have gone. They moved it to Saturday. And I mean, I couldn't have gone anyway because I was supposed to work Sunday too. But again, because of the rain, they had to move the whole thing to Saturday. But if you ever have an opportunity to go to that, it's really cool to see. I love watching historically NASCAR tracks have other series race there. You know, the big 300 lapper they do at Martinsville with the late model stocks in the fall. That one's always great, and this is no different up here. That event is growing every year they do it, and it's appointment viewing if you can make it out there. So I was bummed to miss that. I had a good time regardless over at Claremont, but yeah, it was a good show from what I hear. Also, speaking of Mansfield, this was kind of, I did not expect to hear this news, but it sounds like the prelude to the Dream, which is, of course, was a big late model race that took place at Eldora leading into the Dream weekend, but it was with NASCAR Cup Series stars racing, and we've actually watched one of these as the video of the week previously, and I think we all love that event. I always thought it was really cool that they would do that. It was a pay-per-view for the most part back in the day, before streaming had become what it was, and kind of interesting that it sounds like Eldora is going to allow Matt Tifft and the gang to sort of take over the branding and maybe put on a similar event, which it sounds like it might be the modifieds, right?
Yeah, so, I mean, I sent you guys a screenshot of that, and I watched the video. So, yeah, it's not going to be, they're not going to call it the Prelude, but they gave them, Eldora gave Matt the okay to do something like that there at the track. And, yeah, Matt talked about how, you know, they want to have NASCAR and dirt stars do this, but have everyone in a car that they're not necessarily extremely familiar with. So he mentioned all the NASCAR guys, and then like guys like Bobby Pierce, put them in modifieds at Mansfield. Not this year, maybe next year or the year after, but he said he's already got a bunch of NASCAR guys that are into the idea, and I will 100% be there if that happens, because that track's only an hour from my house. So, I have sort of mixed feelings about Matt Tifft, but he seems to be doing a lot of good shit at the track, and we'll see how this first season goes with him under ownership. And yeah, their first real race is May 7th. I don't know if I'm going to that, but I will 100% be there when the World of Outlaws late models go at the end of May. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to see Mansfield too. I got a lot of traveling to do coming up here. Yeah, hopefully that comes together, because that sounds like a great event. And again, the Prelude was always a lot of fun, and to make it some sort of all-star race in dirt modifieds would be super cool to see. So hopefully that comes to fruition. A couple of pretty sad notes here to close out the septic tank. NATALIE KLEMKO, who of course was Bill Balog's partner and had a big hand in their race team. Of course, Bill Balog, World of Outlaws driver. Unfortunately, she passed away over the weekend after a battle with cancer. She's only 38. Bill obviously not in the car at Hobstadt. They got somebody in there, so the team was still there, which is crazy to me. I can't believe they didn't just withdraw. But that's what racers do, I guess. Yeah, apparently she was a really wonderful person. If you ever saw Bill Balog's merch trailer at a World of Outlaws or a high limit event, or All-Star Circuit of Champions, any of that, she was in there. And yeah, she'll be greatly missed. Just awful news, and hopefully Bill and everyone's doing okay. Also, Tyler Ritchie, Pennsylvania late model driver. He was paralyzed a few years back from the waist down, continued to race and continued to win after he was paralyzed. Unfortunately, he also passed away this weekend. So yeah, a couple of beloved folks in the dirt racing community shedding this mortal coil, and of course thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who knew him and worked with him and loved him and all that. That's both of them far too young. And yeah, I don't really know what to say about that other than we're thinking about y'all. Lots of good racing coming up this weekend, though, and I know all those folks. I'm sure Bill Balog's team will be back out there again, as they were at Hobstadt. And what racers do is race, and there's a shit ton of that coming up. Lucas Oil late models are making their return. They're coming to Georgetown, Baps, and Hagerstown. Little trip up north for the boys. World of Outlaw late models are going to be down at Talladega. Maybe Truelove will make it. Maybe she won't. Who knows? Also, they're going to be at Independence on Tuesday night. So we'll have something to watch on Tuesday while we're doing the show next week. Or maybe we'll do it on Wednesday. I don't know. Maybe Truelove will still be recovering. I guess we'll figure that out.
See how much sodium and alcohol I consume this week.
Exactly. World of Outlaw sprint cars are at Knoxville for the Chevy Truck Challenge Clash. I forget what it's called, but first time at Knoxville for the World of Outlaws guys this weekend. That's always a good show. High Limit, of course, just wrapped up at Eagle. We already talked about that. USAC's going to be at Kokomo. That's a fucking killer show. As far as asphalt is concerned, Smart Modifieds are at Wake County. Cars Tour is going to be at Caraway. Both of those are on Flow Racing. And then my personal favorite of the bunch, the Stafford Spring Sizzler, also on Flow Racing. That's going to be Saturday and Sunday. Of course, Saturday, the Granite State Pro Stocks are the headliners, as far as I'm concerned. Not just saying that because I technically work for that series, but they are going to be there, and I'll also be in attendance for that. And of course, the Stafford Spring Sizzler on Sunday. It's a hell of a show. Make sure you got that locked in on Flow Racing on Sunday afternoon, because Lord knows you'll probably have plenty of time to watch something else as Talladega is on television. But that's it for the Septic Tank this week. And now we're going straight into absolute corner of Brian's brain territory here with these two video of the week. We've had a good run, sort of crowd pleasers for the past 5-6 weeks, and now Brian's gonna take us to school, which we always appreciate, and then this is a pretty classic selection from Brien to accompany it. So take it away, Brien.
Yeah.
Ready to flush?
I want to flush these videos along with it, but I guess I should, just for continuity.
I will say the women's bathroom at Senoia was pretty nice. The only downfall was you had to cross the hot lane for the what is it, the weight shed or whatever.
Oh, for the scales, yeah.
Yeah, you had to cross a hot track to get to it, but
No troughs, though, right?
No women's trough.
no troughs. No.
Well, the world hasn't fully adopted that idea yet. It's a shame. So which one are we starting with, Brien?
Well, with monster trucks. So
The normal one.
This is the first installment of the history of monster truck racing of the year, and for this one we started off with the beginning of the 1990 TNT series, my all-time favorite monster truck series, and really not the most legendary series, but yeah, I would say the most legendary series. So this one we actually kind of got a twofer. I didn't even realize that it was actually kind of two races. So they'd started their season in Charleston, West Virginia. They did a 3-day show there, but we saw kind of a quick run through of the all 3 rounds of the racing there. Let's see. So let me pull up my notes here. Round 1 at Charleston. This was all the Gravedigger show. I think Gravedigger won all 3 nights to start the season off. First race, and also too, I should mention, they started this season, all the seasons, indoor tracks, which very short. Generally, there's like a starting hill and then a row of cars, and not the most exciting monster truck racing in the world, but it's kind of what they had to deal with back in the day. Let's see, round 1, we saw Gravedigger beat Thunder Chicken. In the semifinals, Gravedigger beat Pony Express. Also, Jersey Outlaw beat Mopar Magic. The other round 2 battles, we saw Nightlife beat Wild Hair, and Buffalo Tremor beat Clydesdale. In the semifinals, we saw really a rivalry that lasted throughout the TNT series of Jersey Outlaw and Gravedigger. They had a friendly rivalry. Both Mike Wine, the convicted pedophile, and Dennis Anderson were very good on the mic and had a really fun rivalry.
Convicted pedophile would be a great name for a monster truck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Gravedigger won, and then we had a little interview about Gravedigger. Gravedigger's big thing way back in the 80s. He either won or he broke, and with Gravedigger 2, the big problem in 1989 for Gravedigger was he had this massive motor that constantly broke. Either the motor or the transmission would be breaking every other race, and that was why he was very inconsistent. For 1990, he put a smaller motor in it, which really kept the truck together, and that's really what allowed him to start off the season the way it did. And he also brought up the fact they were working on a full tube chassis frame truck that became Gravedigger 3, which really kicked off once TNT died and the USHRA and Penda became the real 2 series after the fact. And the quote for this interview was, "Gonna be shaming on him," which I've never heard that phrase before in my life. Let's see, in the semifinals of the Charleston race, Nightlife beat Buffalo Tremor, and Gravedigger ended up beating Nightlife for the win. The second race, though, which was really the big talking point of this whole thing, was in Memphis, Tennessee, at the famous Mid-South Coliseum, which was a haven for pro wrestling in the 70s and 80s. Although, unfortunately for Gravedigger, he didn't even make the race during the opening of the show when all the trucks kind of come out and, just kind of display for the fans. Something broke in his steering column, and it was a very small part, and that ruined his whole night, and he couldn't run, unfortunately. But the reason I picked this video was because it was the debut of Bigfoot 8. Now, Bigfoot 8 was really an incredibly revolutionary truck in the history of monster truck racing. It was the first ever fully CAD designed tube chassis frame truck. It had a motor that was mounted lower to the ground and more centered as far as weight was concerned, and also used both coilover and cantilever suspensions. The truck was thousands of pounds lighter than any other truck on the circuit. Granted, at this point in monster truck history, you had equalizer, which was also there and also running a coilover suspension, which really kept the trucks from bouncing a lot, and were able to get them over the cars and jumping with a lot less issues. You also had Taurus, which was running USHRA, and that truck was not exactly full tube chassis, but kind of, and also much, much lighter and much faster. Both Equalizer and Taurus are in the Monster Truck Hall of Fame right now. They have been fully restored. If you want to check them out, head out to South Bend, Indiana, and check them out, because they are beautifully restored by Mike Vaughters of Black Stallion fame. Let's see here. So, yeah, this was Bigfoot's first race. Bigfoot actually, so I should also talk about this a tiny bit. Obviously Bigfoot was the most famous monster truck at this point in monster truck's history. Gravedigger kind of usurped it, but in the 80s, it was the quote-unquote original monster truck. It had the most press, it had the most money behind it. But in 1988, it was the first year of real racing with monster trucks, and Bigfoot and USA 1 always had a rivalry, a friendly rivalry. We even watched a very early Bigfoot versus USA 1 video earlier on in the show. And in 1988, the first year of the TNT series, USA 1 won the title. And this kind of really it lit a fire under Bob Chandler's ass, because with all this money behind him and for as much fame and success as the truck had, it was kind of a shock to them that they would have lost the first ever actual racing championship. In 1989, they only ran the first couple races of the series and decided to take the season off to build a new truck. And this led to Bigfoot 8. This also kind of led to a lot of controversy, which we'll get to later on in the show. But yeah, Bigfoot, this was its first, this was its TNT debut, and it was Granted, this is only a track that ran like 5-second laps, but he was a second faster than every other truck there, and everybody was just like blown away by how much quicker and how better this truck performed. Let's see here. So leading on to the actual racing itself, starting off with the quarterfinals, we had Awesome Kong beating Whiskey Business, which was the old Wild Hair truck. One of the things, I loved Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong had a very skinny, like half-width Chevy body, but unlike some of the other bigger trucks in the series, it never really had funding behind it, even though it performed very well. And technically, King Kong and the Dane brothers, they were the first ever truck to crush a car. Bigfoot got the PR and all that, but the King Kong truck of that Awesome Kong family was the first truck to ever actually crush a car. And if you look at the truck, you'll see it says sponsor on the side of it, because they never got any real sponsorship out of it. So they were like fishing for sponsors, which I really loved. But they won the first round. Clear my throat here.
Thought we lost you there for a second, Brian.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell who was dying.
Yeah, I'm dying.
I'm back to normal now. I passed it on to Brian.
Second race was Carolina Crusher beating Clydesdale. King Crunch versus Nightlife was the third race. The funny thing about King Crunch and Scott Stevens, Scott was the only driver to put a radio in his truck. He had a radio sponsor at the time, and I've kind of figured out that this was his way to get more TV coverage, because like there's zero reason to need radio communications in a monster truck, especially if running a 5-second race like this. You don't need to talk to a fucking crew chief. But this also got him more TV time. And you can kind of glean that when you hear them talk. Like, his crew chief will say some bullshit to him, and Scott just kind of like gives like yes/no answers the whole time. There's really no reason to have that in these little races, but he had it, so it is what it is. But anyways, King Crunch won that round. And then the fourth race was Equalizer versus Buffalo Trimmer. Equalizer won that one easily. And now we see the debut of Bigfoot versus Awesome Kong. He won easily, and we get a little interview with Andy Brass, who he was Bigfoot's second star driver. Like Rich Hoosier was the first one. I guess technically Jim Kramer was too, but Andy Brass was like the first guy that really got it done on the track as far as racing was concerned. And yeah.
I was just gonna say that, man, he had crazy eyes. Like before he started talking, his eyes were darting everywhere, and then the second he opened his mouth, he sounded like he had been sucking on helium.
Yeah, he had a very funny voice, and this was he had just cut his hair into a mullet. Prior to this, he just had big bushy curly hair and looked really goofy, but now he had a slick 1990 mullet going on. Let's see here, pull up my notes. Next round was USA 1 versus Carolina Crusher. Carolina Crusher won this. Also, too, this was early on in Steve Wilkie's career in USA 1. He was the second driver of the truck. Rod Litzow, who won the 88 title, he had retired due to kind of some injuries from driving the truck. Like, those trucks were very jarring to drive back then. So he stepped out, although Ashley and I saw him 20-something years later when he stepped back in. The next round, let's see here. Yeah, USA 1 Carolina Crusher beats USA 1. And we hear Army Armstrong, the greatest monster truck announcer of all time, tell Gary Porter of Carolina Crusher, "You get to go against the devil in the blue dress the next round," which I thought was a funny way to term the new Bigfoot. We see King Crunch beat Clydesdale. We get a nice exchange between Scott Stevens and his crew chief here. His crew chief asks, "Oil pressure look good?" Scott just goes, "It's all right." And then after he wins, the crew chief goes, "Good job." Scott just goes, "Yep." That's it. That's, again, all you need to do in that situation. But we get a very bitchy interview with Scott after the fact, too. This is race 1 of the series, and Scott already says, "The year's over with. Bigfoot's got it." Scott was always very pissy about Bigfoot, especially once Bigfoot 8, joined the circuit. Bigfoot always had more money behind it than any other truck in the series. I mean, they had full Ford backing. There was a Bigfoot street truck. They had lots and lots of money. And they also had more trucks than anybody else had. Scott was pissy because Bigfoot took the whole year of '89 off to build this new truck. Granted, Bigfoot was running USHRA at the time, but their series was not really as, I guess, serious as TNT. Like, TNT was the actual real racing series. It was, had legit points and legit money behind it, and USHRA was still at this point kind of not quite exhibition, not quite racing. It was kind of a hybrid in between. It wasn't really what TNT was. But yeah, Scott gives this bitchy interview, basically just saying Bigfoot's gonna have the whole series. But we'll get to that. Next round is Equalizer versus Wild Hair. Again, easy Equalizer victory. David Morris is not afraid of Bigfoot at all. And this broadcast, or this video, didn't have any commercials, but we did get one that was saved in there. It was a commercial for the 1990 Goodrich 500, which that was a nice little thing to see. Semifinals, Bigfoot beats Clydesdale easily. Equalizer, the next round, wins. We see some fluid leaking out of the truck after the fact. We get an interview with Gary Morris, and he just said it was some hose clamps coming off the radiator, and he'll be fine for the next round. This is where we get a little talk about the suspension differences between the trucks before we move on to the finals. And this was a surprise. Equalizer beat Bigfoot. When Bigfoot, his transmission broke as soon as he hit the cars. For as good and as advanced as Bigfoot 8 was, it took a little bit of time to get the truck dialed in on the racing circuit. There were plenty of times, and especially the first few races on the bigger courses, Bigfoot had steering issues and just a bunch of little bugs that had to get worked out. But eventually it did win the whole title. I'll say this, I'll spoil this, even though we'll probably watch one of these races later on in the year. Bigfoot ended up winning almost, if it didn't break, it won every race it ran until about maybe late spring, early summer. TNT banned Bigfoot 8 from competition because it was just too far advanced. Like I mentioned, most other drivers and trucks only had one truck in their fleet, whereas Bigfoot had many, many different trucks. So they had to bring Bigfoot 4 back, which was the more traditional, regular truck frame setup. They ended up running that for about half the season, and then to try to give the other competitors some time to work on their trucks and get them more up to speed. Eventually, it came back and won the whole title anyways. But this night, on its debut, it did not win. But this was just an important footnote in monster truck history because Bigfoot 8 really changed how the entire monster truck industry built their trucks and whatnot. So wanted to point that out. So what did you guys think of this one?
Again, I love this old footage, man. The TNT stuff is definitely the most compelling. I don't really have much feedback that I haven't already given on any of these videos, to be honest with you. It's just so much cooler back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
Much fucking cooler.
It was a real racing series back then, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish there was maybe more driver interviews and crowd shots, but since this was 1990, I was probably around 5, so this was right around the time when I probably started getting into monster trucks. So I remember a lot of these from my childhood, but this video specifically I really enjoyed just because of the perspective that I had from that event that me and you went to in 2022 in Raleigh, because it was so many of those exact same trucks and the exact same driver. So
Yeah.
it's neat to step back and watch them in their original.
We will be watching that video at some point in the show. Probably maybe not this year, maybe next year on the 5th year anniversary of that show. But we'll be watching that at some point. The second video. So this was the real wild card. Mentioning the BJ stuff and how I couldn't really find any cool BJ videos, but I found a lot of diecast reviews, and this one by Brian Griffin fan. Whatever. It was just a 4-minute video of this guy talking about the 2021 car that BJ drove in the Pepsi 400 and got a 9th place finish with. It was sponsored by Gatorland or something, one of those Gator parks in Florida. It was a really, really cool paint scheme. And yeah, great finish by BJ. And the fact he finished so well was the reason why this diecast was made. I think this was the first ever BJ diecast made at this point. But yeah, I don't know the politics and how a lot of these diecasts get made. I'm not a diecast guy, so don't ask me how that all works out. But this fucking guy, so this is only a 4-minute video, and the first 30 seconds, it's just a black screen, and it's just him talking about the car he's going to review, and he's also warning the viewers that his bed sheets or duvet cover or something is missing. So when you see the cars on his bed, there's no sheets on there, and that's why.
It was just plain white, and he's trying to explain that his bed covers are currently taken off, and he's currently waiting for the new ones to be put on, which implies that he's waiting for someone else to do it.
Yeah, his mom is going to come. Let's just say the quiet part out loud. His mom is doing laundry right now.
He pans over really quick at one point to show a chair that the sheets are literally sitting in.
Yeah. What a mess this room is.
Yep. But yeah, this is the only BJ
Great shot
diecast.
of this guy's leg too. That's
His
awesome.
hairy knee as he wipes breadcrumbs or something off his freaking sheets. Ugh, God.
Yep. About the diecast, he said it looks freaking awesome. He shits on Circle B diecasts, but stutters a lot while doing so. He's showing the car off, and the camera's blurry. You can barely fucking see it.
He's just spinning that thing in his little
he mentions that
hand.
Yeah, he mentions that BJ actually finished 10th, but ended up getting 9th because Chris Buescher got DNQ'd, which that's not the right term to use there.
He said for whatever bloody reason.
And yeah, this is when he shows off. He briefly points to the rest of the room, and it's just a pile of shit everywhere. He says that this was his first ever 78 car diecast because he could never get any of the Furniture Road cars for whatever reasons. He goes over the sponsors on the cars, and he says Motorsports Games, that sponsor sucks. Sorry, Jay. But he had to point that out. The whole time the camera's kind of trying to focus, so half the video is just blurry. He doesn't know who half the sponsors are on this car, and he goes, Corvette Pets? What the fuck am I talking about? That's pretty much it. Yeah, just a fun little shit video to throw in the mix for you guys. Listen, they can't all be Dorf Goes Auto Racing, okay? I gotta find some really weird ones for you guys.
And it wasn't this week. I did not need to see this. This was not for me. Truelove, what did you think?
I mean, before I even clicked play, just the fact that the icon was a bunch of 164s on a crumply bed sheet, I was instantly pissed off before I even started.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked it.
Yeah, I had a hard time firing this one up for sure. And again, the 40 seconds of just nothingness.
Yeah, the black screen, I thought that there was
my
something messed
favorite
up
part.
with my YouTube, so I rewound it a couple times, and God.
Yeah, the silence was definitely my favorite part
Yep.
of the whole thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope his mom finally put those sheets on for him.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. All right, so for the next video of the week, we're this one's gonna be a lot different than a lot of the videos we watch. So, and it kind of comes from a morbid place.
Oh, perfect.
We didn't talk about this earlier on the show, but there was some sort of sports car race at the Nürburgring this past weekend that
Oh yes, that's right.
both one of the drivers and a spectator got killed. There was a massive pile up, and yeah, very, very dark day for that track. And
Max Verstappen was in that race too.
yeah, was he? Okay. Stacy, Joy and I, we were kind of talking about it, and throughout, when all the news was breaking and whatnot, and talked about it was shocking that a spectator died, and that brought us to the topic of rally car racing and how dangerous those races are for spectators. And this put me down a little YouTube wormhole.
I
and
like where this is going.
We're gonna watch a little half-hour documentary entitled "The Motorsport That Killed Its Fans."
Group B, baby, come on, let's go. Yes.
So yeah, this is just a little dark video about rally car racing and the dangers of watching it. So that is the video of the week this week.
Amazing. I cannot wait. I think I might have seen this one before, but any Group B content is worth watching, and I'll hold my other recommendations for next week, because there's a killer BBC documentary that's out about that too. But anyway, we'll save that for next time. But I'm fucking stoked about this.
stoked about watching people die. So.
Well, no, I just think Group B was one of the pinnacles of cars in general. It was incredible what they were doing in the 80s, and they had to stop it because it was too dangerous. But again, not to get ahead of ourselves before we watch the video, but man, these machines from that era are fucking unreal. Speaking of which, there actually was a spectator death at a FIA rally in Spain, I believe, as well this weekend. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lovely way to finish out the show.
I survived Talladega, Jesus.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting up high.
Yeah, you'll be fine. We're not worried about what happens during the race with you. So,
yeah, it's the other 23 hours of the day.
So Truelove be at Talladega. Rob, are you working again this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be at Claremont on Friday night, and then I'll be at the Sizzler this weekend as well in Stafford.
No racing for me. The weather's still shitty here in Ohio, and it's touchy as far as tracks running and whatnot. So, but I got plenty of stuff coming up in May and June. So I'll be heading to the track soon.
Well, good. You can take all the race notes again this week.
Yeah, you can definitely watch the ARCA race and tell us how it went.
I don't know if I'm going to watch the ARCA race. We'll see.
I'll be there, and I probably won't even make it over to watch the ARCA race.
Yeah, you'll be on the property if you're not watching it.
Cool. Well, as always, you can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at meetmeatapplebees. I am Speedway Screens on all the things. SpeedwayTSJ.etsy.com is the shop, and MMA Applebees at checkout for 15% off.
Still Snake Mountain, Truelove. I'll try to post some stuff this weekend. I'm tent camping, so I don't know what the phone recharging situation is. So
not
get yourself a goddamn battery pack.
I have 3 of them. Don't worry,
okay.
But my phone battery life still really sucks. So
yeah, we'll talk to you next week on Tuesday.
Yeah, but if anyone else is gonna be there, let me know. We'll hang out.
Hell yeah. Wish I was. That sounds fun. Rob Motes _unofficial on Instagram. My band's called These Wild Plains. Next Charlie Marie single's coming out on May 1st. So what is that? A week and a half from now. It's my favorite song on the record, though. So I'm looking forward to that one getting out in the world. We did announce some shows, and I don't have the dates in front of me, but they're not close enough, so you're not going to miss them if I don't tell you about them tonight. So I'll be sure to have the dates for you next week, but starting to come out of hibernation, and like I said, I'll be at Claremont on Friday night, and then Stafford over Saturday or Sunday, maybe both. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I'll be at the racetrack this weekend. If anyone in New England is especially going to be at the Sizzler, holler at me. We'll have a beer.
Hell yeah. Well, with that, the check is here. So thanks for joining us again at Applebee's, and we'll talk to you all next week.